I woke up this morning to the single greatest banned and restricted announcement in Magic the Gathering history. We are witnessing the single greatest unbanned announcement I have ever seen. The bans are one thing, but Modern is officially back, and it's wild. There's a lot of actually not only positives, but actually kind of some negatives about this as well. But I'm mostly excited about this. Let me just get this out there. I am mostly happy. I'm excited. I am so just through the moon as to where Modern is going to be going. This is it. This is the band that we have been looking for the longest time. Splinter Twin Unbanned, Mox Opal Unbanned, Faithless Looting is freaking back in the format, and Green Sun Zenith is back as well, folks. The December 16th banned and restricted announcement does not disappoint. And you know what? Let's just go through it right now. Let's just go through it. I'm mainly going to be focusing on Legacy and Modern in this video. Those are the two primary formats that were affected. Those are the ones I'm going to be looking to. I know soon there is going to be some popper changes announced based on what Gavin Verhey said, so I'm also going to be looking out for those. Tomorrow they're going to be doing an announcement for the Twitch Magic TV channel, and they're going to be walking through the BNR. So I'm definitely going to be doing a video with that as well after the fact. So super excited for that. Let's see what happens here. Banned and restricted announcement December 16, 2024. Pioneer Jegantha is banned. Cool. Pioneer's not my format. Let's go through this first. So Psychic Frog is banned and Vexing Bauble is banned in Legacy, and I love that. That means the best threat in Legacy is gone by a mile. So Psychic Frog becomes this threat where Legacy Force of Will and Force of Negation are even harder to support in the Dimir Reanimator decks. Vexing Bauble is being removed so that combo decks just don't have a way to beat Force of Will for quote unquote free, and then when they need to play their free spells and they've already resolved all the busted things, they can then get rid of Vexing Bauble and go off from there. So Vintage no changes, Alchemy no changes, Explorer got Jegantha banned as well, which makes sense. That aligns with the Pioneer bans. Timeless Brawl no changes. Effective date is today. Welcome to the first banned and restricted announcement since we last spoke about changing the announcement cadence to align closely with the competitive seasonal offerings. We're nearing the end of the round of Pioneer Regional Championship events, a series of Eternal Weekends, and a season of Modern Regional Championship qualifiers. In addition to gameplay on both MTG Arena and Magic Online, this gave our team substantial data to address any issues with each of the various competitive formats. We'll continue this new cadence throughout the year with our new banned and restricted announcement scheduled for March 31st, 2025. Without further ado, let's dive into each format. So they're not changing the cadence, which I think a lot of people are going to have criticisms about. And I think a lot of people might in general be frustrated with, because this is a crazy unban of cards. Something could fundamentally break within the week, and folks, you better know those modern queues, those modern league queues, your modern locals, the modern challenges are going to be packed with killers, packed. And so we're going to get a lot of data. We're about to get a lot of data as to what needs to get banned and what needs to stay. As usual, we'll be on weekly MTG, as I mentioned, on twitch.tv Magic tomorrow, December 17th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's 1 p.m. Eastern Standard for me. So hopefully I can try and cast the changes. To jump to our discussion to the particular formats. So first, I'm going to be again going over Legacy and Modern in this video. Let's go over Legacy first, Modern second. Timestamps down below. Skip to where you need to go. Let's go to Legacy first, written by Dan Musser here. Psychic Frog, Vexing Bauble banned. With the announcement, we banned Grief to curb the dominance of Dimir Reanimator. We achieved that to some degree, but not quite to the extent we were hoping. With Dimir Reanimator sitting at double the play rate of the next most played strategy and maintaining a strong win rate, we believe more action was needed. Psychic Frog plays extremely well within the general shell of the Reanimator strategy, providing a threat that must be answered while giving you value when you draw your stuff. So Psychic Frog is really good on Legacy, not because it pitched a Force of Will, but also because you could play like these various targets for your reanimation. But the biggest downside was if you drew them, you almost had nothing to do with them. But Psychic Frog fixed that, because Psychic Frog allowed you to discard a card to gain more permanent power. So not only was it drawing and kind of getting through different threats in the air, on the ground, whatever it needed to do, but it also hyper enabled the plan B of the deck which was really, really powerful. The Dimir Reanimator deck has been able to circumvent anti-graveyard technology by having an extremely efficient, fair game plan. While we believe Reanimator can be healthy as an archetype, just how much you enable it. So it's kind of getting around its usual weaknesses. The same effect is seen in Dimir Murktide. So this is, I believe, the mid-range, the tempo lists. So it's not really Reanimator, but it's like Psychic Frog tempo. So they want to increase diversity among the archetype. So in addition to discussing, we also have some other cards we could ban. So the specifically looking at Entomb Reanimate, is our belief that removing either would not solve the issue with Dimir Reanimator having a solid fair game plan, as the deck leans on the threat of Psychic Frog when folks are packing Graveyard Hate. Exactly. Now, like, Psychic Frog is really nice because it doesn't like the power of it, and getting over top isn't really like the worst thing in the world, right? It's really about the ability to enable reanimation from its hand, discard dead cards, and then use those to power it up, draw cards continuously, and enable itself. One of the pillars of Legacy is free counter magic. It's part of the glue that holds the format together, which is something that I think a lot of people did not understand in my Psychic Frog, my Vexing Bauble hate video. A lot of people are like, oh, Legacy players complaining about free magic spells. Free spells is what everyone uses in Legacy. That's the status quo. Now, when you have a spell that's so easy for people to use that stops the free spells, you lose the identity of the format, right? Which is, I think, what Modern has lost for a very long time. And we see combo decks that rise to the top that are like Nadu Elves and Nadu combo in general that can actually circumvent Vexing Bauble. They don't need to worry about that and have some soft, force of will angles and everything, but they don't really care about that. They can just be faster. So decks like Mystic Forge combo, Painter's Servant combo, and other red Ancient Tomb decks are happy to include a 1-mana artifact that can replace itself. Especially decks that play Urza Saga. It's tutorable by Urza Saga. So while the inclusion of Vexing Bauble is rather decent, recent development in Legacy metagame, it's proven to be successful and a powerful one, while with the concerning win rate among decks that include multiple main deck copies of Vexing Bauble. Its inherent strength against the pillars of the format, it's banned in Legacy because of that. With Psychic Frog and Vexing Bauble removed in the format, several of the top decks will need to change. The recent success of Nadu Variant, Cephalid Breastplates, and Bant GSZ decks has keeping close eye on Nadu, but regardless, this means that the fair force of will decks don't have an infinite amount of answers and like this crazy plan A in the Psychic Frog decks, but Force of Will and Daze continues to be that check on the Legacy format. So I will continue to be playing Legacy. I'll of course be playing a lot more Modern in the coming times. Maybe even, depending on what happens in Pauper, I could be playing a lot of Pauper too. But I will be playing a lot more of these strategies in Modern, and then taking a close eye on Legacy to see where my favorite Painter Servant combo goes. I will of course continue to try to play that deck. The One Ring is still legal in that format, so let's see where that goes. Now we're going to shoot straight back up to Modern, folks. I can't even begin to tell you. I started playing Modern the fall after the Twin ban. That's 2016. It's been 8 years. 8 years I've been playing Modern. And I've gone through everything. I played Burn, I've played Dredge, I played the old Hollow One decks before Faithless Looting was banned. I've played Humans, I played a little bit of Control, and then throughout most of Modern's history, I've played Mill. More recently, I've adopted into some Affinity, and I think a lot of Affinity players are going to be really happy. You might be seeing a lot more Stony Silence return into the format or effects like that, but I've played it all. And it's crazy to me that I have never been able to resolve a Splinter Twin on my end. So I don't know if I actually will, but I will be having a lot of fun stopping Splinter Twin, and we're going to go over that in a second here. So the One Ring is banned. Amped Raptor out of the energy package is banned. Jegantha, the companion, the companion that is third probably to Yorion, right? Because Yorion and Loros are gone. Mox Opal is unbanned. GSC is unbanned. Faithless Looting unbanned. Splinter Twin is back in the format. Now, notably, we don't have Pod. Pod's not here. There's some hot takes on Summer Bloom I was seeing in and around there, but we don't have Pod. But let's go through the announcement here. Going into this announcement, it was clear that Modern needed the most help among our competitive formats. Our previous action in August addressed the most glaring issue, which was Nadu. But things have gone much better. We analyzed a handful of options to try and get the format into a spot that our players would enjoy and be excited about. However, we felt more was needed, and I'm happy they did, because this is truly what this format needed. There was a lot of ill will against this format, right? Talking about how this is a Modern Horizons format, this is a rotating format, and I think in many ways it still is. But to bring back player sentiment, I think unbanning Splinter Twin is so key. And after so many years of memes of the Splinter Twin stocks going up and down, up and down, up and down with every single banned and restricted announcement, it's crazy that all those people stockpiling Splinter Twins are about to make that cash money. I'm happy I got my one copy for my ADH decks. You know, I got my one copy, but Faithless Looting about to go up in stonks. Mox Opal about to skyrocket in price. A card that still sees ample play in Legacy, in Vintage, and in CDH as well. Like, these are cards that are going to be crazy expensive. So I'm really hoping there is I mean, this is a banned and restricted announcement. They may not have really planned for this. So I'm hoping that we can act quick to get a reprint policy going for these type of cards, because Modern inaccessibility is about to just soar through the roof. So that's a big thing I want to point out to folks. Our players are the backbone of competitive Magic. We can observe tournament results, analyze the metagame, and dig into win rate numbers all day, but it's all up to who are playing the formats, and at the end of the day, it's our job to ensure you're having as much fun as possible. Modern is in the same format it was years ago. There are several cards we banned years ago. Since then, several new sets have been released. Specifically, Modern Horizons have made a sizable impact on the Modern format. As such, we've decided it's time to set free a handful of cards. We'll start by talking through each banning, then we'll move on to the cards that are unbanned. Okay, perfect. It's no secret the One Ring is a large part of Modern metagame since its introduction 18 months ago. It's been a year and a half. It's only been a year and a half with this card. That's crazy. In the August announcement, we stated that there wasn't a dominant One Ring deck, and it appeared in a variety of strategies, even propping up in more fringe archetypes. While it does appear in many different archetypes, it has also solidly become a part of the most dominant strategy in Modern, Boros Energy. I mean, folks, you've seen the videos, you've seen what the content creators have been posting. It's in 60% of decks in Modern, and at like pretty much 4 copies. I think it was like 3.9 copies per like in the sample size on average. That's pretty much a play set amongst the decks. The opportunity cost, including the One Ring, is nearly in any deck is too low, and its presence in events has become tiresome for many players. Acting as a tool for self-preservation and a source of card advantage, it requires no commitment to any particular color. We believe it's clear, as many of you do, that Modern could be more playable, more enjoyable out of a format without its inclusion, and thus the One Ring is banned in Modern. Great. One Ring stocks about to kind of plummet. The EDH players, I know y'all hate it in EDH as well, but if you're getting into Legacy, this is a great time to kind of buy copies of the One Ring for, I don't know, Mono Red Stompy, which, I mean, that deck's playability is definitely going to change as well, because I don't know, I didn't really go into it, but the colorless strategies and the Eldrazi strategies are definitely going to see a big hit up. So, I mean, that's a deeper discussion. I'm not going to act like I'm super like knowledgeable about Legacy. I play it and only recently have, so I'll let the Legacy experts talk about that. The opportunity cost of including the One Ring, removing the One Ring is certainly a hit to Boros Energy. Modern, it's most played and most consistent dominant deck, but it also impacts several other strategies. We'd like to ensure that we reduce the overall win and play percentages of Boros Energy directly, though we don't want to eliminate it from the format. We did recently with Nadu Winged Wisdom. We considered many cards deciding how to knock Boros Energy down, you know, Guide, a Johnny, whatever. They landed on Amped Raptor. Each of these options could reasonably include in a few other archetypes, while Amped Raptor only appears in Boros Energy. Amped Raptor allows for some of the deck's most explosive starts, acting as an energy enabler and a payoff, often amounting to an extra 1 to 4 mana in the early turns of the game. So Amped Raptor is banned in Modern. And I like the fact specifically that, you know, Flage shouldn't be banned. I don't think this is anywhere near Uro. Someone was telling me like, this is better than Uro. It's not. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to you. Flage is not better than Uro. The only reason this card could be considered equal, even the reason why people think it's better, is because of Arena of Glory. You can pay red into this card and it comes in with haste. That's the only reason. If Arena of Glory did not exist, this card would be awful. It'd be worse. It'd be worse. Yes, it's still better than Croxa. It's not better than Uro. It may be equal. Uro's my drawing a card, ramping, and gaining 3 life is much better it's much better in the control shells, right? Like if the One Ring is gone, games are slower. Flage can be path to exiled. Phage can be exiled. It's much better. The immediate value that you get off of Uro before it even gets exiled, before it even gets removed, is much better than a Helix. And I'm happy that Johnny's around too. This is just a cool planeswalker. It was definitely a part of like how that deck won in the long game. But Johnny is just a cool planeswalker in general. I mean, 2-mana planeswalkers, the flipwalkers, deeper discussions, but whatever. As far as banning Jegantha, many of the same reasons Arya explained above apply to Modern. Ultimately, so, you know, the Pioneer bans, I guess. Ultimately, the decision to avoid cards that have more than one of the same mana symbol isn't a very fun, interesting, or way to make a deck. By making a couple swaps in deck building, you can get access to mostly a free 5/5, earning you a couple of percentage points in the win column. So a big reason, again, why this is still good outside of just having that free value, Arena of Glory. You can pay red into this, have it come in as a 5/5 with haste, a 5/5 that can, you know, get you back the mana that you spent into it. Like it literally becomes a free 5/5 when it comes to Arena of Glory and having to pay for other stuff. This reduces the pool of options you might consider when building decks, which in turn makes for an overall less diverse format. Jegantha is clocking in around 40% of all Modern decks, from Energy to Zoo, and several more fringe strategies. To reduce the dominance of Boros Energy and increase the amount of diverse card choices available in Modern, Jegantha, the Wellspring, is banned. Now, again, I mentioned above that notably Jegantha can't be played in Splinter Twin decks, right? Because Splinter Twin is red. So that's a very interesting piece to consider. But obviously we have the affinity decks coming back with Mox Opal. Faithless Looting is going to see the return of some things, but I'm going to get into the Faithless Looting asterisks. There is going to be something that's coming back that would also push Jegantha out of the format. So I don't know if it exactly needed to go with all of these unbans. The bans above do a decent job of making Modern a more fun and balanced format, but it could be even better. When we ban cards, we tackle problems as they arise, using tournament data and community feedback to navigate the format into a better place. So I like the fact that community feedback is making its way. This combination of objective and subjective reasoning has its flaws, namely more sets released into a given format, the more powerful it becomes. We've examined several cards in the ban restricted list and reintroduced them into the Modern format. Let me actually move my camera a bit. And then I realize it's taken up maybe some real estate space. It's worth noting that this is the beginning of a new era. Many of you have given feedback time and time again about the good old days of Modern, before Modern Horizons sets even started increasing the power level of the format, making decks obsolete. After long consideration, we've chosen an initial list of cards to unban. And I like that. Initial list. So they might be unbanning more cards in the future. We could see Pod unbanned. We could see Bloom unbanned. I mean, look, we don't need to give the Titan players anything. Lord knows that deck has been really good in Modern for a very long time. Maybe not busted in some people's eyes, but the deck's been perfectly fine. After long consideration, initial list of cards, we've closely monitored how these cards impact competitive. And I really like this because they initially did this with Golgari Grave Troll. That was a busted card. Okay, that was a busted Magic card. But Faithless Looting is truly something. I don't think Splinter Twin is going to make a big splash. There definitely is going to be a Splinter Twin deck. There definitely is going to be Affinity at the top as well. The big, I'm going to touch on Affinity specifically. We're going to touch on the pluses and minuses of each one of these decks coming back. Upcoming regional championship season and come March 31st, evaluate how things are looking. Did we make Modern a better place? Can we handle the wave of nostalgic infamous cards re-entering? Was there something we released in Modern making Modern less fun? Only time will tell. Let's talk about it. So for much of Modern's history, artifact decks have been the pillar of the format, with decks like Original Affinity, KCI Combo, and even Lantern Control. Lantern Control is going to come back with Mox Opal. But it's been a while since we've seen such strategies be competitively viable. We took a couple of shots to elevate artifact strategy in Modern Horizons 2 and MH3. MH3 notably, there were some big ways to do that, but alas, the power simply wasn't there. Mox Opal was banned in 2020 after the introduction of Modern Horizons, which included our good friend Urza Lord High Artificer, which is one of the big reasons why this combo is crazy. Mox Opal and this guy and Urza just like went infinite. So when Urza enters, create a 0 colorless artifact, tap an untapped artifact you control, add blue to your mana pool. It's just like there's so many ways that you could go infinite with something like this. While opening hands containing Mox Opal can be quite explosive, it's not like we never ever stop printing strong anti-artifact cards. You can think of Meltdown, which was recently printed, and Wrath of Skies, which was recently printed as well. There's also a whole ton of other anti-artifact cards, and ones that actually passively hit a lot of these decks as well. Our expectations are that the reintroduction of Mox Opal will give rise to several interesting artifact strategies with both new and old without adding any power to strong decks. And so Mox Opal is unbanned in modern. So Affinity, the biggest problem that Affinity has is not the amount of artifact hate in the problem in the deck, right? Like, it's not that we're going to get the return of the big green pitch spell to destroy 2 targeted artifact or enchantments. The big problem with Affinity is that it draws a lot of cards. It has like a lot of, 1 mana, 1 blue, draw 2 cards, and that's the central pillar of the deck, right? You have the 5 mana one, which is a kind of sorcery. You have the creature one that's a 2/2 with flying, and these are the type of decks that really get just bogged down by Orcish Bowmasters. If Affinity is at the top of the metagame, Orcish Bowmasters will be back. And you have to think about the buffs that a lot of these Affinity decks kind of work with on the battlefield. So you're thinking of like cranial plating and stuff like that. Those are effects that buff power, not toughness. And so a lot of Affinity's creatures are really easy to ping down. So Orcish Bowmasters is going to act as an anti-affinity deck more so than honestly any, Stony Silence could ever do to a format like this. And so, yes, there are options like Meltdown and Wrath of Skies, but I think based on how the affinity deck operates, it's mostly going to be the Orcish Bowmasters deck. Now, is there going to be some combo decks that come out with Mox Opal? Maybe. Is Affinity going to be more combo oriented or just too fast for Orcish Bowmasters? Potentially, because Mox Opal just opens up some crazy turn 1 plays. But I mean, there again, colors have options, right? Meltdown in red, Wrath of Skies in white. There are some other options in white. I'm thinking Hurkyl's Recall in blue. There's options. So I'm kind of interested to see where things go with Mox Opal. I know like folks like Frank's Carson are going to be really excited for something like this in modern. We have all of the other fringe decks that they just mentioned. I mean, KCI combo is not coming back. This is banned, but Lantern Control is going to be making a comeback with something like this. So I can imagine all the Reddit threads and the Twitter posts and everything going right now as I'm making this video. I'm literally making this video as this is announced. So I have not read any of that. These are just my own opinions. So Urza Lord High Artificer combo is going to be interesting as well. So Green Sun Zenith, a card that I have the least amount of opinion on, has been banned since 2011. Banned during a time where green decks were too strong and the card offered a high level of consistency and flexibility that was difficult to combat, often narrowing the range of cards you would consider playing. In fact, the logic we used to ban Jegantha this time applies to why Green Sun Zenith was banned in the first place, and that was over a decade ago. Today's green creature based decks are few and far between. Even Basking Broodscale combo decks can't use Green Sun Zenith to find its namesake, which is important because Green Sun Zenith, so green and X, search a library for a green creature with converted mana cost X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Green Sun Zenith put that back into its library. So you kind of have this recurring tutor that you can always draw over and over again. It doesn't hit the graveyard. And the key to this card is a lot of the more common openings that people are looking towards is playing something like this and then getting out Dryad Arbor. So you go Forest, play Green Sun Zenith, X equals 0, and then you get Dryad Arbor, which is your 1/1 creature that is also a forest. So it's like the quickest ramp that you have out. Green Sun Zenith goes back in, and that's the power of the card. You can draw it later. So you've ramped out, you get your ramp piece back into your deck, and then you keep going through the rest of your stuff. Yawgmoth combo is basically fallen off the map, and while finding Grist the Hunger Tide is nifty, because Grist is a creature everywhere except for the battlefield, key cards like Orcish Bowmasters, Yawgmoth Grand Physician, and Zulaport Cutthroat are unable to be tutored, which is important. Orcish Bowmasters not being able to be tutored is very important. Yawgmoth being a key part of the combo. So Grist continues to be one of the wildest Magic cards ever printed. Maybe not busted, but like really crazy as to how it like circumvents certain rules, how it can't be spell pierced, and it can't be like Doombladed once it's on the field. Like it's so weird how this card interacts, but Can elves make a resurgence? Modern Horizons 3 has some new to modern reprints like Sylvan Safekeeper and Wirewood Symbiote. Wirewood Symbiote was like largely known as like one of the cards that potentially could bring it back because Legacy elves will play something like this. Maybe old favorites like Dryad Arbor and Primeval Titan will have be entering more often. I mean, hey, Green Sun Zenith, you got a ton of mana. You can search for your green Primeval Titan. To help increase metagame diversity, Green Sun Zenith is unbanned in modern. And I like that. I like that. I fear that Orcish Bowmasters kind of holds a lot of this in check. I feel like Orcish Bowmasters kind of needs to go. But there probably is a reprint plan for a card like this. I imagine Orcish Bowmasters is going to be really powerful going into this modern. Back in 2019, Pro Tour Barcelona, it was clear that Hogak the Arisen Necropolis was stronger than intended. One of the cards that died for Hogak said, yo, they just admitted it. And they said one of the cards. Come on. We know the enchantment that they're talking about, black, black, black. We know the Yu-Gi-Oh card that they're talking about that also died for Hogak Sins. One of the cards was Faithless Looting, but Faithless Looting had propped up in a multitude of strategies. Hollow One is officially back. Like Arclight Phoenix is officially back. Yo, Sodak must be creaming his pants. Yo, my man, Sodak probably bust a nut, a hard nut. The biggest load out of this man probably came when he saw Faithless Looting unbanned in modern. Dredge is back, and even some fair mid-range decks like Young Pyro, Seasoned Pyro. Can you imagine the sheer amount of strategies that come back because of Faithless Looting? The sheer amount of strategies that come back into play thanks to Faithless Looting being back in the modern format. Graveyards are about to go crazy. Graveyards are truly about to go crazy. And now, 5 years later, we're interested in seeing what Faithless Looting can do without a certain giant avatar rearing its ugly head. Much like the discussion with Mox Opal, we've introduced several anti-graveyard hate pieces in a modern, namely Endurance and Bogwort Trawler. I don't know why is Bogwort Trawler in this? I feel like it's kind of just Endurance. Faithless Looting is unbanned in modern. Now, my biggest fear is Endurance. So this is why I've talked about like multiple videos, unban Faithless Looting, but you have to ban Endurance, because the last thing you want is graveyard decks to be super powerful in the format to the point where Endurance is mainboarded as like 2 to 3 copies. It just becomes Endurance soup, right? Now, this is one of the reasons why I feel like Jegantha could probably be unbanned. Like it's probably perfectly fine. We have Splinter Twin entering the format. Graveyard decks are really great. That Endurance is going to be everywhere. That's green in your mana cost. And so Jegantha may not see that level of play post ban. So, I mean, I see it, increased diversity. I didn't read the Pioneer reasonings, but I could see why. It's the companions. Now, I obviously have a lot of bias in this situation because Faithless Looting being unbanned makes it so Mill is really good again. Faithless Looting decks were some of Mill's best matchups because it means that Surgical Extraction is really good. The counterpart to that is that makes Endurance really good. So that scares me as well. This probably means, though, if Endurance is really good, this probably means not only is Surgical Extraction really good, but Ashiok Dream Render is going to be really good again. Because people are going to be searching their deck with Green Sun Zenith. They're going to be doing a lot of busted things with Faithless Looting. And Splinter Twin decks in general are probably going to be controlled strategies that are tutoring through their deck. And so generally, like Ashiok is going to be that slow threat that slowly takes away their graveyard. And so I think like for us Mill players, I'm going to be doing a short aside about this, but Ashiok Dream Render is probably going to be really good again. Now, Endurance is my big #1 fear about this. I hope the the graveyard decks don't become too big. I'm not really worried about Hollow One. The Arclight Phoenix players, sure, you're going to meme out. Let's be honest here. I'm worried about Dredge. Dredge still is seeing some play now because there's a lot of lack of graveyard hate in a One Ring format, but the One Ring is gone. So things are going to change. Dredge is going to be hyper powered, right? Creeping Chills and just getting Prize Amalgams out. It's going to be really powerful. So we'll see how things evolve with a format like this. I'm more so worried about Splinter Twin. Not worried. Excited is what I should say. It's a question for the ages. Would Splinter Twin be strong in today's modern? Twin was banned back in 2016. After consistently being at the top of the metagame and taking down a few Pro Tours, the fear of tapping out into 3 open mana and dying was real. Do you hold open mana for removal, or try to progress your board in hopes of getting the game over before they can assemble their 1-2 punch, Pestromite and Splinter Twin? History tells us that replacing Splinter Twin with Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker just doesn't cut it. It's now an alternate option. You will probably be playing Kiki Jiki in your Splinter Twin decks as an alternate options. So 8 years of format evolution, can it keep the Twin combo deck in check? We think it can. I mean, Splinter Twin is not an instant speed play. It's an enchantment. So Force of Negation is an actual answer to this. I mean, these decks will probably be playing Force of Negation. But Force of Negation is a real solid option to this. If it's not your turn, you may exile a blue card. This is just a free answer to Splinter Twin. Answers exist that once didn't, including several non-zero solutions, cards that 0 mana, cards that can keep you alive if the opponent decides to tap out for their 4 mana enchantment. Solitude answers the creatures that you'd be putting Splinter Twin onto. Force of Negation answers the Splinter Twin. Force of Vigor answers the Splinter Twin in response to its first activation. And Flare of Denial, also out of probably, like, there's like Izzet shells that use it, but also the Merfolk decks and everything. Flare, like the, when I say Izzet shells, this is like the Izzet Snapcaster shells, but then the Merfolk decks also have access to Flare of Denial, which is just straight up counterspell. I've all seen competitive Modern play, and each can solve the play patterns that Twin decks have. And of course, if Twin is everywhere, Spell Pierce is going to be everywhere, right? Spell Pierce is just, the stocks of Spell Pierce have to skyrocket at this point. Unlike Mox Opal, Faithless Looting, and Green Sun Zenith, which can each support multiple different strategies, Splinter Twin only supports one strategy, which is fair. It's some type of Izzet or Jeskai Twin. But the point of today's reverse bans is to call back to Modern, a Modern of yesteryear. Each card was justifiably removed from Modern in the past, but times have changed and we realize that Modern isn't what it used to be. Splinter Twin is symbolic of an era of Modern that people can look back on fondly, and it's now free. Enjoy the memes. Folks, I can't even begin. I really had to tell myself to not cry on this video. Folks, this is, I can't even, I didn't know I could actually witness this. That Splinter Twin is unbanned in Modern, that Mox Opal is unbanned, that Faithless Looting would be back in the format that I love. There's a lot of problems. Orcish Bowmasters is still going to be running rampant in this format, running counter to a lot of these decks. Endurance is, that card is through the roof. What happens to Red and 6? Who knows? But there is so much that's going to be happening in the Modern format. This is the single best time to get into Modern right now. The challenges, folks, this week's challenges, oh Lord, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, the 2 on Saturday, the 1 on Sunday. Wow. Wow. Folks, this is going to be a week of Constructed. It's probably going to focus around Modern. Legacy is going to have to wait. I will point you to Bryant Cook, Thraben Yu, Bosch and Roll, some of the bigger Legacy players out there, in their Eternal Glory podcast. I imagine they'll probably be releasing an episode this week, but crazy changes in Constructed Magic. Again, I genuinely believe this is bigger than the EDH changes. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. There's a lot more EDH players out there. They don't understand the power, the notoriety. I don't know, the amount of people that will probably be coming back to play Modern. This is what they wanted. The One Ring is gone, and the cards that they held so dear to them are officially back in the format. I don't know. And you know what? Effective date is today. Start playing with your Modern staples today. I'm going to be doing a lot of theory crafting, right? Like, there have to be so many evolutions to Affinity now that Mox Opal is back. There have to be so many evolutions to maybe not Dredge, but like Hollow One and Arclight Phoenix now that Faithless Looting is back. And there has to be, I don't know what the Green Sun Zenith decks are going to be doing. I imagine that's probably out of these 4 maybe the least exciting card, but it will slot in. That card will go places, and it will probably be the least exciting in terms of like impact. It will do the least as my prediction. Splinter Twin will also probably be like the third least, a card that impacts the third least, because I don't think Splinter Twin will be at the top of the format at all. It is a card that's very easily answerable. It's so clearly kind of telegraphed. The removal in the format is so much better now. it's just, I don't know. I think the biggest thing we have to watch out for is probably Faithless Looting and how it affects the play rates of Endurance and Mox Opal and how that affects. I mean, even Faithless Looting is drawing 2 cards. Like the Orcish Bowmaster decks are going to be fighting Faithless Looting, but the Orcish Bowmaster decks will also be playing their own Orcish Bowmasters. So I think Affinity will be held down by not only a good amount of artifact and enchantment hate out there, but also, you know, Orcish Bowmasters is going to stop the game to the plan B of that deck. It's just, is it fast enough? Now that Mox Opal is here, is the Orcish Bowmasters even going to come out fast enough is the question. And so for my mill players out there, this is my kind of final section here. It might be actually a really difficult time to be playing mill. We know that a lot of us in franchise mill players know that an uncertain metagame is just not where we want to be. We need to know if this is a 4 Faithless Looting 2 Extirpate main format. We need to know if this is a 4 Surgical Extraction, you know, 2 Ashiok main board format, 3 Ashiok sideboard format. This is definitely going to be a 4 Soul Guide Lantern format. Endurance is everywhere. Faithless Looting is everywhere. Don't drop your Soul Guide Lanterns. But we also need to understand if, you know, all this graveyard hate's going to be everywhere and we need to stop it. Is it going to be 4 Visions of Beyond? I think Jace, the Perfected Mind, might still be a little slow. I think Tasha's Hideous Laughter sees some points down because we're going to see the average converted mana cost of a lot of decks increase. A lot of Affinity's threats actually cost a lot. A lot of Dredge cards actually cost a lot. And the Green Sun Zenith decks, actually, generally speaking, have a higher, you know, kind of mid-level converted mana cost as well. I think Tasha's Hideous Laughter will see some points down. Burn will be up there. If you wanted to play in the immediate sense, I would probably be forcing Tasha's Hideous Laughter and Surgical Extraction to stop the Faithless Looting decks. Also be ready for something like Endurance. I doubt that a lot of people will be actually playing Endurance by numbers right now because they'll be more interested in testing these decks. So I think you can get away with, you know, your main board probably looks like 4 Visions, 4 Surgical, maybe like 1 Ashiok, but you're playing probably like 1 to 2 Ashiok in your sideboard, 4 Soul Guide Lantern, 2 to 3 Extirpate, and you're taking it from there. Like you're playing probably like 2 to 3 Hercules Recalls, and like the Ashiok serve double purpose because they'll also be there for the Green Sun Zenith decks. But you will have to be playing 4 Fatal Pushes, a crap ton of removal. You will definitely need to be playing board wipes. I would highly recommend, in a format full of Green Sun Zenith, I would highly recommend playing Knight of Souls Betrayal. I could see Damnation coming back as well. If the Affinity decks are coming back, there's going to be some level of regeneration as well. So something like Damnation actually has a lot of value as well. 2 to 3 board wipes in your sideboard. So let's say 3 board wipes in your sideboard, 2 Ashioks, 4 Soul Guide Lanterns, let's say 3 Extirpates, and then I don't know what I said as the other 3. You probably want like counter magic, right? You probably want counter magic at that point. Maybe like Spell Pierce or something. Notably, nothing out of the colorless decks were touched. So maybe Eldrazi sees some play. Like I like nothing. Eldrazi decks were not buffed here. The colorless decks were, but Eldrazi decks were not buffed here. So I could definitely see some kind of, you know, maybe a reasoning to attack those. Maybe there's some rogue Eldrazi players, but I could probably see some removal decks. But you probably want like 3 Spell Pierces, if I'm going to be honest, out of that. That's probably your board. Like 3 Extirpate, 4 Soul Guide, 3, you know, 2 to 3 Ashiok, 2 to 3 Extirpate, and some amount of like Spell Pierces just as a catch-all. And that should generally be able to answer all your graveyards. And then main board, you're playing 4 Surgical, probably get away with 4 Tashas for now, and then you might flex into like 2 Glimpse later down the line. 4 Visions for sure. If Faithless Looting is going to be unbanned in the modern format, you definitely want 4 Visions. I'm close to saying like Extirpates in the main too. If everyone's going to be playing combo, you definitely want Hercules Recall as well. That's the card I was forgetting about for artifacts. So you probably want to flex in like 2 copies of Hercules Recall. But even for the Affinity decks, removal is going to be really big. So there is a world where you play your not like 2 to 3 removal spells outside of Fatal Push in the main as well. But also Crypt Incursion is going to be really good too. If graveyard decks, Arc Like Phoenix, Mox Opal decks are going to be mostly creature based strategies, Crypt Incursion as a main 2 to 3, probably 2 copies, not 3, 2 copies that frees up your sideboard slots. I think Crypt Incursion is going to be really powerful in this format moving forward. 4 Surgicals, 2 Crypts, 4 Visions, make it happen, folks. That's the type of build deck that I'd be playing right now. It's the type of thing that I'll probably be kind of jamming a league or two of, but games probably later down the line this weekend. I'm definitely going to be pushing out as many videos as possible. It's going to be a crazy time. I'm excited to see where the Pauper announcement goes from Gavin Verhey. I don't think it was announced here, so there probably will be a separate section, article, whatever. I'm not even sure if it's announced yet. I'll probably check that, and if it does, I'll probably pause the video here and add it at the end, but let's see what happens. Anyway, let me know what you think of the modern format here. This has been the craziest banned and restricted announcement ever. They finally unbanned Twin. The mad lads actually did it. The folks over at Wizards of the Coast actually unbanned Splinter Twin after so many years of memeing. And I mean, it's right here, folks. It's right here. Where is it? Where's modern? Enjoy the memes. Enjoy the memes. Splinter Twin is unbanned. Enjoy the memes. This is it. This is, I don't know. I'm in this state of just like calm and reconciliation. Like what do we do in this crazy wild world that we now call modern as a format? I don't know. I'm kind of just babbling on at this point. I don't know what to think. I'm at a loss for words. I'm excited to see, Spike's video. I'm excited to see everyone's takes on Twitter, all the deck lists coming out. I'm excited to see how modern breaks. But even if some of these cards get rebanned again, it will be really cool to see Splinter Twin back in the format after almost a decade away. See the meme become a legend once again, and see Faithless Looting, a card that so many of you have never gotten a chance to play. See Faithless Looting, the magic of that card. That card, how it enables graveyard strategies. Y'all don't even know what a graveyard deck is until you play with Faithless Looting. What a wild time. What a wild time to be alive and be a constructed player. I've never been so excited to play Magic before.